Podcasters assemble!
Hello, friends. This is Troidal Power from the Power Playthroughs podcast. That's not the show I'm doing today. This is Troidal Power with Probably Work. The We Can Make This Work, Probably Network. And I'm in my my high-tech mobile podcasting studio here. I'm going to record my submission for the first episode of Podcasters Assemble, covering Podcasters Assemble Season 2. Season 2 is covering Star Wars, as you probably already know if you're bothering to watch this. And so the first episode will cover Star Wars Episode 1, A Phantom Menace. And I'm going to record my my piece for it. I have a little lav mic that I use for recording. You don't need this. Basically, the point of this video is I want you to show how, or I want to show you how quick and simple these recordings can be. You don't need a fancy studio. A car will work fine. You don't need a microphone. You can use your phone. What works really well, what I did when I started podcasting, is I had a shirt with pocket on it, right? Like a button up. I just put my phone in upside down so the microphone's pointed up. Works really well. You can use the built-in voice memos app on your phone, on an iPhone, or I think Android has the same a voice memos thing. And you just make a recording. So I'm recording now on my phone. I watched the movie. You don't have to rewatch the movie. The whole point of Podcasters Assemble is to talk about the things you really love about the movies you're discussing. So it doesn't have to be something where you rewatch it first. It can totally just be from memory, talking about your favorite things in the movie. I did rewatch it. I took a couple notes. I'm pulling them up, but I'm really not going to use them that much. Let's see. All right. So here we go. The start of the recording. The start of your submission should be saying who you are and one project that you want to promote. Then you say what movie you're going to talk about, and then you just go into it. So, hey, no. What am I doing? I don't know how to intro things. I don't need to intro. It's just my name. This is Troidal Power from the Power Playthroughs podcast. That's it. Just like that. This is my thoughts on Episode 1, A Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace? Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I normally can't see myself when I'm recording podcasts, and it's a little weird. Hello there, YouTubes. All right, so at the start of the submission, we do like to talk a little bit about where we were when we saw the movie. I was super excited for The Phantom Menace when it was coming up. I was way into looking at all the media and everything. I was just a kid at the time, but I grew up watching the Star Wars movies with my older brother, who's 7 years older than me. And when Phantom Menace came out, he and I actually went to see the movie together. I'm kind of ashamed to admit, I don't really specifically remember going to see the movie with him. I remember all the excitement about it coming up to it and the excitement coming out because, let me tell you, when I was a kid, I loved this movie. It was a lot of fun. What I do love about the story of me and my brother seeing this, though, is I actually still have the tickets. I have a little case that they sit in, and I've got a poster I need to get framed and put up. But yeah, I still have the tickets from when my brother took me to see The Phantom Menace way back when it first came out. Right away in this movie, we get one of my favorite Jedi scenes, because the movie starts with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn being sent to negotiate with the Trade Federation, which, you know, the intergalactic politics stuff isn't my favorite thing. The intergalactic politics stuff isn't my favorite thing, but the negotiations go south right away, which is a great line where they say, you know, you were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short. But then we get some sweet Jedi stuff where the Jedi are just hacking away at these battle droids. They, like, deflecting lasers all over the place. They are fighting in a way that Jedi didn't fight in the original Star Wars trilogy. We're seeing a much more fluid style of action here, and I think that's really cool. And we see other people being terrified of going up against the Jedi because they're like, close the blast doors, and he's like, that won't be enough. I love the I don't love those characters, but I love the guy who's just like, ah, man, we're so screwed. Have you ever gone up against a Jedi before? He's good. I like him. Not necessarily the rest of his compatriots. Another thing I really like in this movie is the establishment of the different cities. I think that Naboo's really pretty, and then I think when you go underwater and you get to see the Gungan city, it's just like magical. The Gungans are an interesting species. I think there could be some really cool stuff with them in the expanded universe. I've never really looked into it, but their city looks super cool. Those domes floating under the water and everything's glowing as the Jedi and Jar Jar Binks swim up to him, I think is a really, really cool setting, and it's really neat to see. And then later on, when we get to Coruscant is beautiful as well. It's kind of a silly thing, like this, Star Wars does the thing where every planet is like a single thing. Like there's a swamp planet and a desert planet and a snow planet, and this is a city planet. The whole planet is just one big city, and I'm like, I have so many questions about how it got that way, but it looks so cool. And at this point, I am excited to see what could happen in the future on a planet that is all one big city. The pod racing scene in episode 1 is pretty cool in isolation. Watching the movie again, I was kind of like a little bit wondering, like, why are we spending time on this? Why are we here watching this pod race happen? A long time gets spent on it, and it's not really that connected with everything that else is going on. I mean, I don't know. It's just, it feels a little out of place, but it's a cool scene, and it's got cool action in it, and it inspired the most awesome racing game ever, Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer for the Nintendo 64. So it's got to get some credit for that. Darth Maul is probably the highlight to this movie for me. When you first see him show up on Tatooine and fight Qui-Gon Jinn, it's a pretty cool fight scene, but it's over fairly quickly. The real highlight for this movie is when you get to the end, the Queen and her people are trying to sneak into the throne room while the Gungans are attacking the droids outside, and Anakin has, through hijinks, ended up in a spaceship and going up into battle in space. And then Darth Maul comes in, and he's got his hood up, and the Queen and everyone's like, oh man, and Qui-Gon's like, we got this, leave him to us. And they all go one way, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan walk up as Darth Maul takes off his hood, and you hear that music start going, and then these like they pull their lightsabers out and they're ready to fight him, and then he turns his lightsaber on, and one side of the lightsaber ignites like shoo, and you're like, whoa, that's cool, it's a red lightsaber, you know, we've seen it, whatever. And then the other side ignites shoo, and it's a two-sided lightsaber, and then the music goes, oh. That's that right there. That makes this movie worthwhile for me. I know this isn't a lot of people's favorites, but Darth Maul and the ignition of the two lightsabers and then that music kicking on makes the whole movie worthwhile. And then that action scene just continues to be awesome because you get this like flipping and jumping around with the Jedi and Darth Maul fighting each other. Again, doing some of these like crazy acrobatic moves where they're clearly using the Force in conjunction with their physical prowess as well. And it's so good, and it's the kind of movement like that you saw in Star Wars video games, but you never really saw in the original movies. So it's super cool to see that on screen. Excuse me. It's super cool to see that on screen, and you get this like crazy sense of how deadly a well-trained Jedi can be. And then Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon, and it's so sad because Qui-Gon Jinn is a great character in this movie, and now he's gone, and Obi-Wan is left to get his revenge. At the very end of this movie, one of the cool setups that I really like that it does is the setup with they're talking about the Sith Empire, and they're like, this definitely was a Sith that we fought, and it's Yoda and Mace Windu are talking with Obi-Wan about how it's a Sith and the Sith are back, and they say, but always two there are, a master and an apprentice, and they say, but which was destroyed, the master or the apprentice? And then the camera focuses in on Palpatine's face. And if you've been reading the comics, I guess you knew this because I think the Emperor was named Emperor Palpatine in the comics previous to this movie coming out. But in the movies, that was a brand new thing. And it doesn't even tell you outright there that Palpatine is or will become the Emperor. But it's just this little tease. And that's the thing that I remember most of seeing this movie with my brother, is I remember my brother explaining to me that was a filmmaking technique where the movie was telling you that guy was the other Sith. And I did not get it at all as a little kid. But watching it now, it's just such a cool moment. I think that's it. Let me check my notes real quick. It's really warm in the car. I will tell you that one pro tip for podcasting from a car is park in the shade because it is warm in here. The Chancellor, blah 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 blah. The lightsaber, and then there's two which was destroyed. Oh, the celebration. Okay, yeah. One more point. I really like the celebration music at the end of this. Star Wars movies it's a common thing, right? For it to end on a celebration. The original movie ends on a celebration with the award ceremony. Not episode 5. Empire ends as Kevin Smith so eloquently put in Clerks. It's a series of down endings. But then Jedi ends on a celebration, and this one ends on a great celebration too. And I really like the music that's playing on Naboo as they have the big parade celebrating their independence. That's a really good scene as far as music goes. It's probably helped by the fact that I've been to a lot of University of Oregon football games, and for some reason they play that song all the time. I don't quite get it, but it makes that song makes it a song I like. Cool. Stop recording, and it's done. Now all I need to do is go online, go to probablywork.com, find the section for Podcasters Assemble, and I can upload that audio, and I will be part of Podcasters Assemble, and you can too. We really do want to get your voice involved. We want to get as many people involved as we can. So check below. I'm sure Tyler will put links in here. And then head to probablywork.com and tell us about your favorite things from your favorite Star Wars movies. We want to hear them. What do you love? That's what it is all about. See you later.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
at Probably Work
For more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.